It feels like I haven't done this in a long time, so let's just get straight into it. All right, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is the first time that you're tuning in. My name is Lewis, and I'm just simply documenting my trading journey. If I sound a little bit discouraged or it sounds like I'm going through this video very quickly, it's because I recorded another video and the memory card, I think, is what's the problem. So I switched it out and I have to re-record it. A lot of people don't understand how much it takes or how long it takes to record one of these videos, and it's usually about 45 minutes to an hour. So I just spent 45 minutes to an hour. I recorded a whole video just for no audio to be recorded on the memory card. So I have to start over again. So like I said, please bear with me if I do sound a little bit upset or anything like that. But I'm gonna try to keep my energy up and let's just get through this video. I obviously won't have as much information because I am trying to get this video done, but you know, I'll try my best to explain everything so that we can have a very good video. Apart from that, follow me on Instagram at LewisVisuals_. Follow me on TikTok at LewisVisuals. Yeah, I don't want to talk too much. Let's get straight into the sponsor of this video and the Discord, and then we'll get into this video because a lot of good trades happened this week, and then I'll explain it all once we get in there. So, and let's hop straight into the sponsor of this video. So the sponsor of this video is Tektronix PCs. If this is the first time that you're tuning in, you should know that Tektronix PCs helps me out with everything that has to do with anything really PC related. I'll put up a video right here when they were upgrading my RAM and my actual PC case itself, because my old PC case was too small and compact for my GPU, which wasn't allowing a lot of airflow to get to the GPU, and it was overheating. Then recently my CPU ended up overheating as well because my cooler was broken. So I hit up my boy Mike from Tektronix PCs and he helped me out with a new cooler, and he put it together all in one day, gave it right back to me. So check them out on Instagram. Their website is still in the works. It should be up very soon. Use discount code LVFLIP for 10% off and let them know that Lewis Visual sent you from his YouTube video. Apart from that, that's all I have to say. Let's hop straight into the Discord. All right, this is the Discord. We've been very active, so thank you so much if you're in here and you're active as hell. The link is down in the description. It's a free Discord, and if you want to be in here, all that has is to be active. We've been very active recently. As you can see right here, we have about 154 members right now, and I'm just extremely grateful for each and every one of you who has joined and is in here. I will say, if you want to join the premium Discord, make sure you hit down here, join premium. You have access to everything in the premium Discord. A lot of information I am adding because I'm working on a lot of new stuff now, and I don't want to talk about it in the Discord until it is very new. So if you joined recently the premium Discord, or if you're looking to join, just wait a little bit, I think, because all of the information that I'm working on now that I'm trying to master will be mastered in the next couple of weeks to a month, and then that information will get added to the Discord. So it's all in there. Like I said, we've been very active, so thank you so much. The link is down in the description. Join now. And before we head into the video, thank you so much for 1,500 subscribers. I am extremely grateful and thankful for every single one of you who is in here. And by the time this video goes up, we will have 2,000 followers on Instagram. So make sure you follow me on Instagram at LewisVisuals_. I post clips every day of my actual trades and also snippets of these longer form videos if you want to watch shorter stuff. But thank you so much. Every single one of you counts, and I am extremely grateful, and I want to make sure that I let that be known. Thank you. We are going to talk about what ended up happening this week. We had a Monday high of week all the way down to a Wednesday low of week with a big push back up Thursday through Friday, mostly Friday, really, because we had a smart money reversal. Using these standard deviations, I kind of had an idea that we would end up being bearish until we took out either the previous week low or the low down here from that Tuesday, which I believe was from 2 weeks ago, giving us an SMT down there, which was what made me bullish for the end of the week. And I will say, Monday I had a break-even week just because I moved to break even too quickly on one of my trades. Could have had a very big winning day on Monday. Then Tuesday I ended up having a win. Wednesday and Thursday I had losses on both days, and then Friday I had an amazing win. So we'll just take it from there just so that you know what the week kind of ended up looking like. That is pretty much everything. Let's head straight to the days of the week now. Let's go to Monday really quickly, and then we'll talk about it all. Now here on Monday I had the standard deviations like this. Basically I had an idea that we would go and take out that low from Friday. I did end up taking a long in the pre-market, and I was very close to hitting my TP, basically a couple points away. Really just edged on that TP. I'll put the video up right here and you can go check it out on my Instagram at LewisVisuals_. But I got in and price basically just came back down, took me out of break even, and then it was just that story for the day, just because it was very choppy. It was a no news Monday, so you could kind of expect that from a no news Monday here. But let's pay attention on the lower time frames to really see what ended up happening here on Monday. And like I said, I'm probably just gonna end up going through these very quickly, so I'm so sorry for that, just because I've already recorded this video, and it's really annoying to have to record something for an hour straight and then have to come back and do it again because things just want to be annoying. But let's take a look here and see what price ended up doing. I ended up taking a long here, if I'm not mistaken. I took a long about right here, something like that. And I have my stop below this, and this is what my entry ended up looking like. And I was targeting about 50 points, and this is what price did. Got very close to my take profit, and then just came back and took me out break even. But it is my fault, I guess you can say, because maybe I should have taken my profits when I had the chance. I was up about $1,000, and price did turn around doing this here. But as you can see, this was an ideal level for price to reverse at. We did take out this liquidity up here. I think there was an SMT on that day to take that out, but it is what it is. I was really expecting price to come down and take out this low down here to then keep heading higher, and price came down, and I honestly thought that it did take it out, but it did not. Price came down and created equal lows down here with this liquidity from Friday, and since my standard deviation from up here lined up perfectly with that, I had a very good idea that price was going to head back down there at some point. As you can see, it did over here, but I thought it did sweep it here. It basically missed it by 1 point, and there's a couple people who took this short right here and were looking to take profit down there at that low and missed their take profit by 1 point because it reversed right here. But I did take the long here. I took it a little late, if I'm not mistaken, something like this. If I'm not mistaken, it was something like this that I did take, and I had a 10-point stop, so it was like that. And I was targeting this up here, and price ended up going up, coming back down, taking me out break even because I moved to break even too quickly, and then it went straight up and shot for about 60 points or so, which I would have been totally fine with on a no news Monday if I didn't move to break even too quickly. But then again, price reversed from up there and just kept heading lower. But as you can see, with the -1 swoop up there in New York, which is a very good level to take. As you can see up here as well, the -4 extension was right about there. There was an SMT above these highs, so that's kind of why I was expecting them to drop. I was like, let me just wait for them to hit this level. They missed the level literally, and then come all the way up here where you can see the -1 swoop, and then they drop down to this. That was probably the best trade of the day, honestly. All these were very good ones. I had, like I said, the long here, which would have got me a good amount of points. I had the long here, which did get me a lot of points. I was up about $900, but didn't take it. But like I said, this right here would have been the best trade probably there, with a rejection block entry on the 2 minute, if I'm not mistaken. I guess you could take that as the rejection block. Yeah, you could take that as the rejection block entry here with a 10-point stop there, and then targeted the equal lows down there that were created earlier for about 85 points. Very simple, very clean on a no news Monday. Like I said, I shouldn't have been greedy, took my profits on that no news Monday, especially expecting some type of chop like this and then letting the rest of the day play out or come back the next day. Basically, it would have been the best thing to do. But that's pretty much it for Monday. Let's move on to Tuesday. All right, here we go. Coming into Tuesday, one thing that I will say, my problem has basically been just being able to wait on my levels, wait for price to hit my levels or target my levels in a way where I get a good entry, a very good risk to reward entry on the way to my level, or just be patient enough to actually wait till the level gets hit to then take another entry, then to take that entry once the level is hit. That is my problem, not being confident in my levels or not being confident in where I anchored my level at, or just being able to wait for that level to be hit. So here on this day, Tuesday, I took a short in here. I'll explain the short on the lower time frame, but basically my thought process was that we were gonna come and hit the previous week low, because my fib projections right here lined up perfectly with the previous week low. We were looking very bearish either way, just because we were inversing a lot of higher time frame levels. So I was like, yeah, they were pretty much bearish for this day. My target was down there, and a lot of people, what they do is they will try to take a retracement trade off of these levels instead of just trading with the trend. And obviously using your higher time frame confluences or your higher time frame analysis will help you out on when to take reversal trades and when to take retracement trades. On this day, I just was trying to catch the distribution because we had already manipulated with London. London was basically the manipulation, and even if you don't want to use this whole range and you use something like this, the idea was still that we were very close to this low. But obviously the best way to go about it was with the whole London range as your manipulation. I think I'll pretty much even use this to really catch it. As you can see, we could use a -2 here to catch the retracement, because this was the start of the move lower. This could have been more like a last move or something like that if you really wanted to catch it, or something like this. But it's okay. As you can see here, another level lining up down here. So very, very confident that the drawn liquidity was going to be down there. So what I did was I took a short here once we entered this fair value gap, and I was in some profit. It came back up, stopped me out at break even, and I was still so confident because I had a lot of levels lining up with that low down there, and I was like, that is the draw on liquidity. And I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna wait for a good entry. Again, I saw that they started to dump, took my short about right here, something like this with a 10-point stop, and then I targeted, if I'm not mistaken, I targeted about 90 something points. So it was like this, something like that. I think I used a 1 minute manipulation leg to get my target here, even though I was targeting down here. There we go. Yeah, so it was something like this. I believe I targeted the -4 for about 100 and something points. I think I might have gotten in a little later than that, like something like this. I remember it's like 90 something points. I'll put the video up here so you guys can see the short itself. But this is how I framed the short for Tuesday. And remember what I just said, where people take retracement trades thinking that they're going to be reversal trades, and you got to know what you're actually taking. You could take a scalp for a retracement if you have the right context on the higher time frame. Obviously, you don't want to be taking a trade that you think is going to be a reversal, but it's just really a retracement, because you will have a higher target or a bigger target, and then you just get hit with a break even because it was just a retracement instead of being in the direction of the higher time frame. So we'll just talk about that more as we keep going. But yeah, that is the trade for Tuesday, banger trade, and I could have held it for the rest of the day, as you can see, because it came down to this -4, and then we'll go from there. Now let's move on to Wednesday. Now Wednesday was a little bit of a choppy day, or not choppy. Wednesday was this day, and it was a very, very crazy day, but I could have just waited. I missed my initial entry, which was a -1 swoop back into a PD array on the 1 minute time frame, and then I missed a trade in here as well, a short, a kiss of death short right before the level was hit, and then obviously not being patient enough to wait for the actual reversal trade, which I knew this was going to be the low of the week because it was an SMT. For those of you who don't know, we usually have an SMT at low or high of week. So if you're trading and you see a higher time frame SMT where you think it could be a lower high of week, most likely it will be. So trust that. I did that this week. I trusted it, and basically was looking very bullish after Wednesday. I was trying to take longs, and it ended up working out very well, especially on Friday. But let's talk about this trade here on Wednesday. All right, so as you can see, the levels here ended up lining up perfectly with that low right here, which was also a daily order block. Excuse me, not a daily order block. It was just liquidity. The order block, I believe, was on a smaller time frame, but it was liquidity. As you can see, their levels lined up perfectly. I'm like, okay, we're heading down to that low, most likely. I was not patient enough to actually take a trade down here, and there was really no retracements that looked good to me. So I was just watching it, and honestly, I chickened out of a trade entry right here. As you can see, I have the fair value gap already lined up, but if you lined up the last manipulation leg on the 1 minute, usually between the -1 and the -1.5, there will be either a swoop of these levels or a retracement inside the area that leads back to a PD array that then sends price lower. That was the best entry for the day. First presented fair value gap entry right there with your stop basically at the halfway point of the fair value gap. If it took it out, you could try a re-entry in there. You could have easily targeted anything you wanted down there for about, shit, I don't even know, like 400 points, 350 points. That is the best entry of the day. There were some people who ended up catching the short, like right where it turned around up here. I don't know how they would have gotten that. I guess a -1 swoop maybe right there. I don't know how they got this level, honestly, but it did line up perfectly for those shorts, and man, was those some very good shorts, extremely good shorts. And yeah, now let me explain the kiss of death trade, which is this right here. I was expecting price, and for those of you who don't know as well, usually when we're heading to a higher time frame level, there will always be a reversal right before, or a retracement, I mean, right before we hit the level, which is just faking people out so that they could basically to entice you to head in for longs, so then they could come and take you out and then actually start the move. But I had that idea in mind, and I had already taken my losses up here because I was trying to find a good entry, but I couldn't find good entries. So I took about 2 losses, and I was like, yeah, I'm done for the day. Then I seen this, and I was like, okay, they're basically gonna just dump. I know they're gonna dump, hit the level. I know this was a kiss of death trade, so I take my entry about here somewhere, all right, something like this, and I sent it in the Discord. I'll show you right after I do this. All right, something like this for about 90 something points. Basically, you could have got 100 points out of this, easiest 100 points that you could have gotten out of any trade, for me at least. So what I did was, since I had already taken my 2 trades per day, and this is kind of, you know, quote unquote breaking my rules, but I was like, if I move to break even real quick, then I guess it would be a free trade. And then it started to dump a little bit. I moved to break even right away. They come back up, take it out, then they dump. I was like, dang. It is what it is. I was pretty upset after that. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna turn off my charts. But if I would have just stayed a little bit more patient, I saw that the levels lined up perfectly with this. We had these levels around here lining up perfectly with the low of week. Then we have this very big reversal, which I just had to wait. And I didn't realize that, you know, just having confidence in your levels and then just waiting for the levels to get hit to then take the trade, it means a lot. It's a lot. It goes a long way. But taking a long from here at that order block on the 1 minute order block would have been the best trade entry for me after that, with about a 13-point stop, 12-point stop, and you could have easily gotten almost 200 points off of this reversal. Literally, look, for here, 111. Shoot, you could have got 200 and something points up here, and it kept going higher. So it's just about being patient and waiting for your levels to get hit and being very confident in your levels being hit. That is what ended up happening on Wednesday. And now let's move on to Thursday. Now Thursday, it was a very weird day, and thankfully I have all my levels here from before. But as you can see, it was very weird. It was you could have caught low of day down here if you would have just waited for that. Honestly, you had a bunch of other levels here showing you this low level up here for the short, and it was a very choppy day. I'm gonna go over a couple things that I saw, but I got cooked on this day just because I was not waiting for the levels to get hit and then taking the reactions off the levels, but also because I moved to break even, or on one trade it just left without me, completely dipped without me. But let's talk about it really quickly. The first short that I did see people take was this short right here. As you can, let me zoom in a little bit more. We have the levels there. They shorted from there down for about 50 points if I'm not mistaken, about 50 points, 60 points depending on where you got in exactly, and they just took that as their win and they got off. Then I noticed was that we reacted off of this halfway point, which is a 15-minute rejection block. This 15-minute rejection block halfway point, which then sent price all the way up to this up here, which then reacted off of this -4, which then sent price lower and into these levels down here, which was the -4. This level over here also lined up. There was also a swoop of this to come down to this, which was another rejection block if I'm not mistaken, or a 15-minute fair value gap. Yep, it was this rejection block. Boom, right here. They came down to this rejection block, as you can see in there, inside a 15-minute fair value gap. Then they go long all the way up here is also a -1 swoop off of this, which could have been, if you think about it, the start of the day for the move, or the start of the move for the day, for them to send price lower. And you know, you just got to keep trading in this way to really realize and get what I'm saying. If you haven't been trading how I've been trading for the past month or so, like this would just be a lot of mumbo jumbo. Looks like I'm just taking trades off of trades, but there's also a bunch of other stuff that I'm doing that I'm not talking to you guys in here. And like I said, that's why I want people to kind of wait on the premium Discord, because once I master it, that's when I'm really gonna start explaining everything to you. But then we have these things here, right? So I see the -1 swoop right here. I take a trade here, I take a long in here, and I'll put the video up right now. I take the long about here. Yeah, I'm in some profit. Once this comes up here, they start to come down again. I moved to break even too quickly. They stopped me out. Could have got a good 50 points out of this. I don't remember where I got in, but could have got a good 50 points out of it. Ran for 50 points, then I got cooked, but it's okay. Then, as you can see, I try to take this trade here off of that rejection block still, which is this gray box. Then you see these levels line up perfectly with this long, and I have a limit set right here, and this limit is gonna come come back again on the next trade when I show you Friday. But I set a limit at the halfway point of this rejection block with two contracts, because I was so confident in it, and I could have easily got about 60 points out of it. Yeah, shit, almost 85 points, or 85 points exactly off of that. But you know, it never tapped me in, so it left without me. I was done for the day. And then I come back and I see this down here happen. There's I believe a 15-minute fair value gap down here. I will show it. Where is it? Yep, this fair value gap in here. As you can see, they tap it. They tap this -4, this -4, which lined up perfectly for the low of day, and I end up taking that in the Discord. I'll show you guys right here. This is the trade that left without me. So just so that you know that I'm not BSing, here it is. Here it is again. 2 contracts, risking $210, which is basically 5-point-something points. And then this is the trade that stopped me out break even. If we go down, you'll see down here, this is the end of day trade right here. This is the low of day trade that I ended up catching on that low, with those levels lining up down here. As you can see, so I got out up here at these relatively equal highs, and that is the trade. That was the day on Thursday, basically. Now Friday, gangster day. Experience coming into play again. We'll talk about Friday over here, but like I said, I was checking out the higher time frame on Friday when I came in the morning. I seen that. I obviously knew this was low of week because we had the SMT, big SMT at that, and price was not gonna break that low. We come back inside that 15-minute fair value gap during London session. I'm like, okay, this looks like a smart money reversal, obviously, with this being the manipulation leg right here, and then the breaker being around this area. As you can see, there's also a 15-minute fair value gap around the area where the breaker is. So this is a unicorn model, smart money reversal, experience coming to play at that. Then I have this manipulation leg right here, which lines up perfectly with this area, which is the breaker and a 5-minute fair value gap. I'm like, okay, everything seems to be lining up with this area here. I had something else there that I will not talk about on the YouTube channel, but there was also something else at this level. I was like, okay. Now when I came in, I was not logged into my funded account, so I was like, oh shoot, and I was hitting buy on the 1 minute, and looking at the way that volume was moving, I knew that we were gonna end up reversing from here, especially with us having a -1 soup right there as well, which is also another indication. I could have also took the short, as you can see here, with these levels lining up with the -2 right there, lining up with the short for $1,000, basically 50 points very quickly in 1 minute. But I was hitting buy, and I wasn't logged in. I just noticed that I wasn't logged in, and I was like, okay, let me log in really quickly. I logged in as quickly as I could. Then I hit buy, and remember the trade from yesterday where I had the 2 contracts? I entered this trade with 2 contracts on accident, targeting about 50 points, so about $2,000 with those 2 contracts. But this looked like such an A+ setup that I was like, you know what, let me just leave it, and I left it. Ended up playing out. I'll put the video up here. I got out a little early. As you can see, Powell ended up talking later on, and price just completely boomed, but it is what it is. That is basically my trading week. Very good trading week. I'm going to continue to focus on coming in next week and being confident on where I'm anchoring my standard deviations, and confident in those levels themselves, lining it up with some other stuff, and then taking the trades once we are in the area where the levels are, and then just going about it, managing my risk and taking 2 trades per day, and then coming back the next day and doing the same thing over and over, because I'm done being childish with this. I'm gonna be very, very blunt when I say you should be able to control yourself. I don't care what the circumstances are, the reasoning is, you should be able to control yourself in order to reach the levels that you want to reach, and if you want it bad enough, you'll definitely end up getting it done. But that's everything that I have to say. Like I said before, please excuse if this video is a little rushed, or if I missed a lot of things, because I had already recorded this video. Hopefully this is the last time that it happens. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Lewis. I appreciate the 1,500 subscribers on YouTube and the 2,000 followers on Instagram. I'm extremely grateful for each and every one of you. Make sure you check out Tektronics PCs on Instagram and use my discount code LVFLIP for 10% off. Everything that you need to know about me, my Instagram at LewisVisuals_, my TikTok at LewisVisuals is in the description. Join the Discord. It is free. Everything is down there. And yeah, I will see you in the next video, and I hope you had an amazing trading week. Let me know how your trading week went down in the description if I didn't say that in the beginning, and let me know how your trading journey is going as well. But that's everything that I have to say. I will catch you in the next video. Peace out.